Talking Basketball Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
Hello. Wow, there's a lot going on in basketball world, that's for sure. So to catch you all up on everything that's going on with the SLB, the BBF, we thought we'd do a little show for you.
Yeah, Mark, look, we're going to get extremely serious for a moment before we go on any more with the show, because, you know, every now and then you have an incident in basketball, and even though it's a sport that we all love, you know, health is more important. And, you know, on behalf of myself, you and the podcast, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of, you know, the Essex Rebels, you know, the University of Essex. Unfortunately, there was a road accident recently, and the result was 4 people lost their lives. You know, 2 of the players in particular, Hibbert and Wall, were outstanding members of the Essex Rebels men's NBL basketball team. The Essex Rebels are currently in the NBL Div 1. Bailey described as a talented basketball player, and Daryl Chichkaya, multiple roles with the Essex Blades Dance Club, and was active in other clubs and societies. And, you know, it is a very somber moment, isn't it, where everything just gets a bit real. And, you know, I think, you know, we say our thoughts and prayers again with their family members, their friends, you know, the University of Essex and the Essex Rebels and everyone associated with them. You know, we are just sending our positivity to you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Idget Wilkinson actually played in Itchen down the road as well. It's just a terrible loss, really, isn't it? It's and it's going to sound silly, but one thing that you can, I won't say not take heart from it, but is that, as you say, basketball's a community. It doesn't matter where you play or whether you knew the players or not. It's that they're part of the basketball community, so you feel the sadness. And like you say, you know, thoughts go out to their family and friends, because that's just too soon. They're kids.
Yeah, they are.
That.
And look, it's the very least we can do, Mark. Let's just stop the show for a moment in respect for them. So, Mark, some SLB news.
Where to begin? So
we had a bit of a shock with what came out.
Do you know what? I don't think it was us who had the shock, was it? I think it was the SLB.
So let's break this down for all our listeners here. We've got
to go back. Back in time, haven't you? So there used to be.
Give us the history, Mark.
There used to be a British Basketball League, the BBL. And then the BBL went a bit squiffy because people who said they were funding it didn't have any money and didn't. So they got their license snatched away. And that was last year. And when that happened, frantically, all of the teams got together and tried to form something to put on a league for this season.
And let's face it,
at a very
to
short period
save British basketball.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
You know, you go from having the Premier League with all the history, and in full fairness to them, they got those teams, bar one, I think because of legality, and you know, they've had a bloody good crack at it.
They gave it a good swing. For sure.
And I think the basketball's been pretty decent, if I'm honest. We've argued, is it better this season?
Out of the gate, I agree. Out of the gate, it was like, whoa, everyone's going for it. And then it started sliding off a little bit. If I'm honest, towards the Christmas time and over that period, it started slipping. I think there was a little bit of, I won't say they tried to do too much, but where they brought the cup back as well as having the trophy, as well as having the league and obviously the playoffs, they added just that extra element.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And
see, I thought they've hit some massive home runs. I love the fact that you had this cup competition now where you had National League Division 1 teams that could give it a crack. Exactly. And as we were kind of seeing, is one going to get through? But they all didn't. But I love that. And I really hope in the future they expand on that rather than just go, no, this is closed. And I thought that was brilliant. I thought it kicked off well, and then London started coming straight back in the league. And we were like, we got London. They're atop again.
And they were nothing at the beginning.
Honestly, Mark, I think as far as the league's concerned, I think it's so exciting. You got 4 teams in contention at the moment.
Who's number 1 as of right today?
It's
Sheffield.
Yeah, Sheffield Sharks.
I
London
never thought
Towers,
I'd say that.
Leicester and Cheshire. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it.
I think Newcastle number 5.
Newcastle are dropping some points at the moment, but it's an exciting league when you're looking at it and going, hang on, we're halfway through-ish, let's say.
Oh, snapshot. Round of applause for Newcastle. They just finished top of the ENBL league.
Oh, they did? Yeah.
Yeah, so massive shout out to Mark Stottle and Paul and everyone up there because they did a great job to finish top of their division in the ENBL. So that is...
Mark Stuttle had an interview and he was talking about one of their targets was to get through that round.
Yeah. Look,
so they've done really well, yeah.
That is important. We have the caliber in the country.
Yeah.
We have the caliber to play with people in Europe.
I think there's the potential that has distracted from their league performance.
Of course it has.
But, we're still early, there's still time. There's still time.
So,
but I think it's an exciting league, and I think they've done well. And I think as the years go by, I think it's going to get better. That's my interpretation. If more teams can come in.
Okay.
So what's happened, Mark?
So this brings you to today, or these last few weeks. So you say, in the future they can do that. Well, what is the future? Because they don't have one at the moment.
Well, I think the future was, didn't they sign was it a 3-year deal?
No, it was a 1-year deal.
A 1-year deal, but within a 3-year period, they got first dibs on re-signing. Something like that, isn't it?
Well, they had the dibs if they went through the tender process.
So, they had first tender. That was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way it works for any of you who do or do not work in business, often if something's going to be put into place, like anything, they'll say, let's get all the interested parties in one heap and then tell us your best offer. Tell us what you're going to do. Tell us how you're going to do it. This is the type of proposal. This is the way we want to do it. That happens in a lot of commercial business, especially when you've got big projects and long, lengthy ones, or there's going to be big commitments on both parts. Now, part of the interesting thing of the tender is firstly they said you have to spend £25,000 to submit the tender. So just to put the tender in to say, hey, I'd
for
like
what?
To
is that like an admin fee or something?
It is. It must be.
Jeez.
Right. So 25 grand, you had to pay that. Yeah. Then, if your tender is successful and we wish to take it further, part of the agreement is that you will be paying 1.5 million a year.
For what? Admin fee?
For having the license to run professional basketball in the UK. So to have the SLB as the league it is now. So if you look at it that way, quick head calculation, that's what? 9 teams.
This feels a little bit like inheritance tax or something like that.
1.5 million divided by 9 teams. What's that? 170,000, something like that. That each team would basically have to pay to play effectively in that league. That's how it would basically work. For the pleasure. For the pleasure.
But, can I ask a silly question? Why do you have a BBF?
So the BBF is the publicly government funded arm of like GB basketball. BBF is GB basketball basically.
But who made them in charge?
The government. You know, like you have to allocate someone.
Oh God! Don't say Liz Truss.
No.
This is going to come crushed.
Yeah, the head of it is a cabbage, and they've got a cauliflower on standby. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So, like all sports, like say,
I apologise for getting political there, Mark.
Badminton.
I only say it because my mortgage went up by a little bit.
Yeah, that's because you asked people who have no idea about business or money to run a country. But
Wow.
if you have any sort of governing body or whatever it is, you need to have a top of it somewhere. So they'll always have, this is the person who's the head of cycling for the UK. This is the person who's the head of so-and-so. You know, Lord Coe was the head of athletics, for example, for a long, long time.
Okay, so
Yeah. So
why do you
the
have
BBF
to pay them
is the basketball federation. So
for the license? Why you can't?
the license means that it is an authorized league, and not only is it an authorized league for the UK, but also a FIBA recognized organized league, right? That's the important bit, right? So they've said we're going to do this, and all the clubs went,
Did they tender?
no, because they said the tender is, there's bits in it we don't agree with, and we've sent back some things that we're not happy with, and you didn't get back to us. And they're like, well, yeah, you've got to send it through. And they went, you got to send your tender in. And they're like, but we're not paying 25 grand if we're not happy with the items that you're saying about, or the tender to start with. Yeah. Now, little side note, whenever you do a tender in business, there's usually a preferred supplier. And that preferred supplier often helps write the tender, which goes in their favour.
Why are you doing this? Dr. Evil?
Yeah, I'm not saying I've done that in the past, but I totally have. If you are a preferred supplier with someone, yeah, the reality is you say, put these notes or these things or these requirements into the tender, because you go, well, I know I can fulfill that and I could do that with my eyes closed. They don't have the capability. So if you put it in there, they're like, oh, well, we can't do that. Tender's gone.
Yeah.
So you basically make it harder for other people to offer the same value as you.
Can I just say one thing about BBF?
Yes.
So we talked about the BBL, and you know, if you type BBL into Google,
Don't.
Brazilian butt lift came up.
Yeah.
Do you know what happens if you type? I just type BBF really quickly to get on their website. Becoming breastfeeding friendly.
Are you breastfeeding friendly, Paul?
Trying, apparently. Right. So anyway, yeah, don't type BBF into Google.
So that's how the league came about. And that's how the SLB were. And the SLB was saying, obviously, well, we've been running this. Surely we should. It sounds like, you know, look, we rushed something together. We got something out and it's doing well. The league is doing well. Then all of a sudden they're going, right, we're going to do a tender process to make sure that the license for the next 3 years or whatever it's going to be is going to be something that's fully sustainable. And you go, all right, that's fair enough. Because everything got put together really quickly. They managed to get something for one season. That's like an interim. In the meantime, what's the bigger picture? Because we can't just keep doing year after, you know, what's the big picture for this?
You need stability, don't you?
You need the stability. You need, you know, we talked about it before. It's got to have that sustainable factor to it. You want to get people in there. You want to get money coming in and investment, and you want to grow it.
And can I say, at the start of the season, the numbers were
Not bad.
lower than they are now. Like, you go and watch Sheffield in a home game, it's going nuts up there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, at the start of the season, it wasn't as nuts as that.
No.
I mean, maybe where they are in the season is in the league has contributed to that. But
No, it shifted. So
but
around
the
that
number,
Christmas time.
like attendance is going up where people are like, okay, the league's staying around. Okay.
Yeah. So there's been some ball drops. Let's put it that way. Someone's balls have dropped.
And also, talking of balls, like when we had like Moulton on, and they're saying it takes us like a freaking year to get that ball ready for the start of the season. They must be going like, what?
Yeah, his head must be exploding on that one because of all the branding that was there. Then it was BBF, SLB. If you're going to get to that, now it's like, is it going to be that? Is it going to be something else?
And we know if you're in England, it takes like a good eight months to get your kit.
Yeah.
You order a kit, that's taken 8 months.
Yes, this is very true. But when the league, so that was what was happening in the league. So you thought this was the tender process that was happening. What the SLB maybe sat on their laurels a little bit and didn't really realise that at the same time there were other parties interested in putting a tender forward.
And let's say big parties.
Now, the party in particular is run by, and I have to get the names right to make sure. So, the names themselves on these are Marshall Glickman, Chris Delavue, and Aryon Metre. Now, the reason that Marshall Glickman is very important is because he ran the EuroLeague, like 2022, 2023 is like the stand-in. And he's been the advisor, I don't know, probably 10 years, like advisor to the CEO. I think he owns G2 Sports Consulting, like a big consultancy firm. So, EuroLeague, like he's in with that. And we know how that EuroLeague has got the most money in terms of European basketball. And we know they get good sponsorship, they get good coverage, they have a type of buy-in system, and there's some teams that come in.
And can I add, the UK's got a massive basketball market. Massive basketball market. That isn't,
massive community, massive following.
Well, definitely when it comes to the NBA. If you look at it like NBA League Pass, it's one of the biggest up there.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if
huge.
you had that kind of, what we're kind of all waiting for, I think, is that investment. Like, so it's on Sky Sports and stuff. You can kind of, yeah.
Marshall, give us a call. We'll help you out. No worries.
But
so basically,
the market is there potentially. I always think the challenge is with British basketball is people are very loyal to their homegrown roots. Like when I'm going around stuff like that, I'll say, "Oh, who do you follow in the SLB?" I'm like, "No, I support the Essex Rebels."
Yeah,
and they're like really loyal, and it's like, "Oh yeah, but obviously Essex Rebels can't get promoted. Like, who would you support in the SLB?"
Yeah, no,
Essex Rebels.
And part of that is a mentality that's focused a lot around the football. Because the football is exactly the same. Sometimes you might have who's your favourite Premiership team, but if you are in a football team that's in one of the 1 or 2 divisions below, yeah, you're not looking at them.
And we've tried to promote that to people, like, pick an SLB team.
No.
Like, just pick one.
Not interested.
Some people do.
Some people do, but and they will look at it and say,
Have
okay.
you picked a team yet, Mark?
No.
Why not? You're a disgrace.
No. No, I have my own challenges with the SLB this year.
But what?
Let's not go there. But all I would say is that there is someone who has proven successful basketball experience in raising a league, growing a league, bringing talent to a league. Look at the EuroLeague. Look at the players that go to EuroLeague. Look at the quality that's there. You're getting NBA players go to EuroLeague. Once they go, oh, I'm not sure if I want to play on... I don't want to play for Atlanta. I'd rather go play for Panathinaikos. I'd rather go play for Olympiakos. You go, really? What?
Yeah, England's a stopping ground, isn't it? Like, it was like a bus stop.
It was a bus stop, yeah. Like, can I get my access into La Liga or AB League in Spain or something like that? Like, that's always what they're trying to... And EuroLeague was like the second goal. So the fact someone is like, hey, I've done that for a long time and I've got this much money behind me, some of which the money, by the way, is from associated with or connected with Portland Trailblazers or one of the managers or someone senior from there. There is money involvement with that. Immediately people are like, oh, this is 777 all over again. It's not. This is a guy who's spent a long time in Europe, who's run EuroLeague.
So can you...
So they've put the tender in. So they paid the 25 grand. Non-refundable, of course, because it's, Britain.
But what you're describing there sounds like an all right package.
No, they're going ahead with it.
No, but what I'm saying is when you're talking on paper, you're going, okay.
So here's the problem. Yes, obviously that's their tender, yeah? And their tender is, hey, this is what our proposal is going to be. We can do this. We can put this money in. We can do that. And none of us, no one outside of Chris Grant, who's basically the main person there at the BBF, no one outside of that knows what's in that tender. Okay? So they could be, hey, we just want the license. And then once we've got the license to run it, this is what we'll do. This is how we're set up. And we're going to go to each of these teams and say, we'll give you this because we've got some TV rights or anything. But the other teams don't know that. All the SLB teams at the moment know is, well, you kind of aren't in the. There's no league as of the end of the year. As of June.
No. It's not. There's no league. It's you're not going to be our official recognised league going to FIBA.
Yeah.
Can they still enter Europe? Can they go to Europe and go, yeah, we're the SLB. We don't worry about it. We got our own league. We got all the best players.
That is part of the problem.
So is the answer no, they can't play in Europe?
I don't know if they can get recognition for Europe and FIBA. So what it might be is they may be able to play in Europe, like, as we've just mentioned with Newcastle Eagles, they're in the ENBL. So they might be able to play in the ENBL or something like that, for example. But domestically, they'll all be just playing in the SLB league. So the SLB as it is would have to try and get recognition from FIBA separately to play in.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't go
would they do
the Premier League,
authorised two leagues?
I don't think that'd happen. Well, there's other countries that have multiple leagues and multiple stances.
Really?
I think Germany has 2 leagues, if I remember correctly.
So there's a potential blueprint.
A very, very small one. The main league in Germany is this, but there is apparently like a smaller one. I think Italy maybe has something like that. I could be corrected.
So at the moment, the SLB are basically turning around going, okay, we'll just carry on doing our own thing. And the BBF have come in and gone, hang on, it won't be official.
Yeah,
and they've gone, okay.
Yeah. So here's the
I can appreciate that.
Yep.
I can appreciate that.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem that both parties face.
And the reason I appreciate that is because sometimes when you have local leagues that are just a bit craply organised, yeah, I've turned around and gone, screw it, I'm going to do my own league. And they've gone, no, you're not going to be Basketball England certified. And you've gone, so what?
That's Plymouth.
Like, so what? We'll start our own setup. Why do we have to go through Basketball England?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for the insurance, okay, yeah. I got £500 after paying it for 30 years. Yeah, that's worth it. Like,
yep.
I don't know. I kind of a little bit on the side of the SLB here. Like,
yep.
You've put in a crappy tender in. And look, I'm going to make this crystal clear. You do not have the best league in British basketball if you don't have Newcastle Eagles playing in it. Nope. You don't have the best league in British basketball if you don't have Leicester Riders, Caledonia Gladiators.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying there?
No, you've got to have these teams that have been playing
Sheffield Sharks. I feel like I need to list them all now, but
Sheffield Sharks, London Lions,
and also
Surrey 89ers.
They got history.
Yeah,
like when you say
Bristol Flyers.
You know, you won the league.
Look,
in
Bristol Flyers have just said we're
88.
Bristol Flyers are committing to a new stadium like they've started breaking ground. By the end of next year, it'll be finished. Like. They're
you don't
investing.
Have the best league without those teams.
Here's the best bit. So they're investing in the infrastructure, all right? So say these guys come in and go, okay, we're buying the rights to this league. Okay, it's good. Well done. Then they go.
No, they're buying the rights to the license.
Yeah.
To have the league.
Yeah.
Yes.
To run a league. Yeah.
So what would they call it?
Well, doesn't matter.
Would it be the SLB? Would it?
Think of. The way I'm looking at this, potentially, the SLB thought they were going to get the license that you just get given to them. And it's almost like, we're just doing this, it's a process. Someone else has come in and gone, hey, we could actually do something. And they go, what? Hang on. So now they're suddenly thinking, someone else could come in, offer a certain amount of money and guarantee it. And if they guaranteed a certain amount of money, then they'll get the license. They could then go to the SLB teams. If you want to play, if you want to carry on this SLB, you can. You do it under our license and you pay us for that license. Now they could say.
Yeah, but I get that. If you're like the NBA and you've got all that legacy, all that history, it's like, you want to be in the league? Yeah, I get that. But some Ronnie Random, like, yes, I get it. You got all that experience, but they come into the UK and then go, yeah, we're going to start a league up. Yeah, you got to pay us, by the way. I kind of get why the SLB are considering and going, screw it. Yeah. We'll just do it on our own.
Well, exactly, because they're sitting there saying, well, we've made the league and we've carried on the league. We're all heritage
They
teams
are
anyway.
you just said it. They are the teams are the league.
So
The new guys have got to come in and beg them to join it.
it gets better than that. It gets so much better than this.
The SLB, the teams have got to be one. If there's one crink in the armour, everything falls. They got to stay as
There's
one.
crinks. There's always crinks. There's always weak ones.
A chink in the armour.
Don't think we can say that these days. But if you really want to think about what the best bit is, right?
I had to process that
You
then.
process that.
Yeah.
Say these people who, by the way, so the BBF like this because they're obviously going to get paid more money, and they like whatever this new tender is, and the idea that someone's going to. They've probably said we'll bring broadcasting, we'll bring loads of sponsorship. They probably promised a lot of things that they probably can.
Yeah. Let's see.
But they probably could deliver on paper, right? But we don't know what the terms are. So it could be they might say, oh, part of this is that we go to the teams and say, hey, by the way, you guys get a cut of all this money. So you don't have to pay for a license. We'll pay you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's when the teams would go, yeah, okay, cool.
Exactly.
And then they'd all go.
And do you know why they would do that? Because the one thing that the EuroLeague people may or may not realise, and I'm sure they've obviously done due diligence and stuff like that, is, but what is our number one complaint about basketball in the UK? No indoor courts or arenas, right? So how many arenas are there in the actual arenas in the BBL or the SLB or the whatever you want to call it?
Well, designated, yeah, there's a handful.
There's like 4, maybe 5 if you push.
You have got some around the country, but yeah.
So Cheshire play in a sports park, Bristol play in a sports park, Surrey play in a sports park.
Yeah. But I don't think that's going to change.
I don't
think that's going to change, Mark.
Huh?
Unless you've got money coming in, that's not going to change.
No. You misunderstand. If the new guys came in and said, right, we're going to set a new team, we're going to start a new league.
They're not going to build like 10 arenas.
Exactly.
Are they?
Where are you going to play? They literally need the SLB. So the SLB, this is what's the interesting thing.
Yeah, you're right. They do need them. They need those
Mm.
clubs with the arenas.
They need
for sure.
arenas. They literally need arenas. It's literally that simple.
Well, those clubs, the clubs in the league at the moment, that gives them.
No one is starting a professional league and saying, hey, we're going to play in crap school gyms. No one's doing that. If they did that, literally,
It'd be big sports halls, wouldn't it?
still, you've got places around the country that have got dedicated places that can take thousands of people to watch. Or you've got some academies, even like a Solent. Let's take Solent. We know it. It's there. What, 500-600 people, maybe 700 at a push that you could probably get in there?
Kestrel's that. I reckon that's 5 tops.
Okay, let's say 500 people you can get into, and there's a couple of academies around there.
Unless they let teams like that, they come in, say,
yep,
let NBL, you guys can jump in.
But Cola in City of London Academy, that's just had a grant for 3.2 million, I think, for a dedicated place. A bit like the Solent place down there, where it's going to be a dedicated basketball academy. So shout out to them. That was brilliant news. Brilliant for British basketball. What I want to know for that is, how much does the government, how much is British basketball, how much were they influential in getting that set up and getting that underway? My gut, and I'd love to be proved wrong, is probably not very much. I get it's the main guy who set up Cola, working his butt off, getting people investment, just like what Paul Blake did when they got their new Virtue set up, getting people around, getting people invested in the club, building a community, getting it to a point where they go, we've got the capital to do this ourselves, because the government hasn't supported it. And British basketball haven't supported it. They might have thrown a few coaching things on as well. But I do look at these things. British basketball all goes back to the BBF and GB basketball. All of those things all come under these people, and Chris Grant is at the top of that. And you look at it and you think, what are you doing?
Mm.
Because by doing this whole tender process, you have made British basketball a joke. Just by doing it, you made it a joke.
Especially now the SLB team's gone, we'll just carry on then.
And yeah, so
because you're going to have 2 Premier Leagues, all you're going to do is water it down even more.
You have literally taken something that could be so great. There's such a calling for it, and people want it to expand, but want to do it the right way. And you've taken that opportunity, and you've just peed into the wind. It's utterly ridiculous. But
I would
all
say
of those American players that you were talking about at the beginning of the season, like, oh, they've just opened it up now. We've got some talent coming in, and it was insane. They're all dropping like flies, shooting off and everything. Don't blame them.
Are they?
Well, because you look at it and you go, once again, what's happening with the league? Like, is this a sustainable league anymore? Well, as of the end of the year, they haven't got a license for operating as the official UK league, which if you're a player using the UK to bounce into Europe, which is what they used to do, why would you come to the UK? So all of that talent's going.
I know it's like, I mean, you might be able to answer my question, but rugby league and rugby union,
Yes.
is that kind of what this is, or are they two different sports?
Different sports.
It's rugby though, isn't it?
No, league and union is different sport.
Like literally, it's the same sport.
Different rules.
Is this
different
where
sport.
someone's saying you're only allowed past with 8 players before you got to do a scrum?
One of them, they are less likely to stamp on your face.
Oh. I mean, I think if you had 2 Premier League leagues, that
one
would
won't be. One can't be. One is going to be.
Well, one would be the official, and one would be the legacy, the history.
Yeah.
And
So
when you look at it like that, look, you're going to go to the legacy, the one that's got. Oh, you've been playing since the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. We'll go there.
let's go. Let's pick a different team. We always pick Newcastle. Let's take Leicester. Okay.
Loads of history.
Loads of history. Lots and lots of things there. But now there's a new league.
Absolute legends have been part of that.
Right.
That organisation.
But now there's a new league, so they're not the official league. Are you telling me that all of their fans and their fan base and their academies and all those things
not going anywhere?
No,
not going anywhere.
What about?
And we know that.
What about Barking Abbey, and being the feeder in there, and Barking Abbey across that way? You got Essex Rebels, Barking Abbey, London Lions, all those places that are feeders. You've got people going to the States.
I will say, I think the chink in the armour will be London Lions. London will be the chink in the armour. That's the first one they'll go for. Right, capital. That's where we want our team.
Of course. So here's the thing: they've got.
If the team stay together, they'll be all right. But now let's put yourselves in. We're the new owners, Mark, of whatever this club is. What are these guys?
Don't tell everyone.
Yeah? So we now come in.
I am totally running on the court.
My top priority would be get those. I'm not going to say 9 clubs. I'm going to say get those 10 clubs get into my league. That would be my top priority. Get those 10 clubs. I mean, the Manchester one's only just started, but there's always been a team in Manchester where it's the Giants or whatever basketball. So, Manchester Madness.
It's the beginning of February, right? February 2025. You're listening to this, right? This is what I would do. I'd have Plan A and Plan B. Plan A is you get those sides
get those teams on board,
but work out a way that everyone wins. Okay. And if not, you present with them what Plan B is, and you have Plan B ready to go. And Plan B is the same thing that you and I would do. If anyone listening to this is a multimillionaire and wants to help us, come and talk to us, because we want to do something and get a giant warehouse and convert it out, get 1,500 seats in there, lay a floor down. There you go. There's your stadium.
To be fair, there are cities where you could do that. Like Portsmouth, you could do that. Southampton. You could bring Portsmouth, Southampton together.
I have looked at every single major city that not only has basketball, but could have basketball. Yeah? Every single one of them has an industrial area. That every single one of them have big warehouses that are hundreds of square feet. That you look and hundreds of thousands of square feet. And you're looking at them thinking,
you only need 3 mil per one. 30 mil, Mark, easy. We're in business.
No, the ones I was looking at, it's like there's some of them are like 30 grand, 100 grand.
No, but you're going to need to do it up and all that.
Why? Just go with me on this, right? You've got a whole big warehouse. You lay the flooring, right? You have the absolute minimum that you need in there, which is health and safety sort of stuff. In terms of heating and all that sort of thing, yeah, you can get some bits and those bits and stuff in there.
Get some radiators on the side.
Everyone's got to wear gloves. But
radiators and fans.
if you're using it as a
air.
warehouse, but when you've got a crowd in there, when you've got a lot of people in there, it's actually going to be cooling that's going to be the issue, not much the heating, because it will get stifled and stuff. But those sort of things, they have that. I'm talking about like genuine, if you had a warehouse, you can get 15. I'm not talking about 4,000 or 5,000 people. I'm talking 1,500 people, right? But if you had a place that was 1,500 people in there, 750 bleachers, or at the 500, 400, 400, yeah. So you did it like that. You had that sort of area. You've got some toilets. You got some refreshments. Might have a little bar. Those sort of things there. Signed in. Done.
Signed in.
But that's all you need in that place. You don't need loads of other things. You could have a gym area, potentially, that the public can use or whatever. That's all you need just in this. That sort of size venue is everywhere in the UK. Everywhere. Okay, Newcastle. Well, there's a few there. If not, we'll move the team to Sunderland.
No. What?
Well, no.
Sunderland have got history. Do you know what would be
Sunderland
amazing?
were the original Newcastle. What I'm saying is they could say, well, we won't start in Newcastle then. We'll start a team in Sunderland and call it Sunderland Sailors.
Sunderland Sailors.
I don't know.
Why Sailors?
Sunderland Starfish. I don't know.
The Sunderland
Stabbers.
There's no way. You told me in another show we couldn't have the Washington Bullets because of gun crime. We're going to have in England the Sunderland Stabbers.
But it could be something else. I'm just saying. So let's go Scotland.
Sunderland Stars.
No, let's go Scotland. Glasgow. Bang.
The Glasgow Gunners.
Yeah. But obviously they've already got Caledonia. Let's go Edinburgh. Why not?
The Edinburgh Eagles.
Yeah. There's so many cities that are around that have a lot of basketball being played in them. And you see what Bristol.
But you're talking restarting infrastructure. That's not going to happen like that, which is what they're going to want. Yeah. The only way you can carry on like that is if you have those 10 teams. In this fantasy world that you've just created, what would be amazing? Let's say they created 10 teams, and then you had the original SLB team. And then they come together with the 20 teams.
Well, you say that, but let me pose it another way to you. What about it is a fantasy? Like genuinely, I'm not even joking.
It's the financial side of it. How much money are they going to pump up to go, right, there's your things. There's your arenas, or warehouses.
If you are talking about, flooring, okay? There's companies that can do the flooring. That's fine.
Yeah, but that outgoing cost is going to be what, 40 million? 50 million?
Less than that.
I'm only basing that on that you just said earlier that what was it? The 3.2 million to get their thing done. Who was that?
Cola,
yes. I'm basing it roughly on that and doing 10.
Yeah, but they're building a purpose-built building.
For 500 people.
Right.
So I'm just thinking 1,000.
No. They're building. They're putting stuff. We're going to warehouses that exist already. You can go on there now. Let's look on Rightmove or Zoopla, wherever it is. You go look at it. It'll be like 35,000 a month to go hire or 100,000 for a year or something to go get a warehouse that would be big enough. Not saying I'm sad enough to have done the calculations, but I am sad enough to have done the calculations. Some of them
I can make it as cheaper. Let's go outdoors. Do the league outdoors.
What I'm saying is, let's imagine it's 100,000 to rent the building, for example, yeah? Just 100,000. You say, right, I want 10 buildings around the country. That's $1 million. I'm just doing simple maths. What if you said, let's do 15? 1.5 million.
No, I just think it would cost a lot more to do all of that.
Let's just say 1.5 million. And then you've got to say, I want 100 grand in flooring, the equipment, that sort of stuff. It would cost maybe 250,000.
I think it's going to cost a lot more than that.
All I'm saying is, you're talking about stuff with...
And you're putting temporary stuff in, like what they've done at Wrexham.
Yeah.
With their stand.
But look at it this way. If someone says, right, we're going to do an internet startup or something. Okay, well, how much is that startup going to be? Well, that startup's got investors of 25 million invested. Okay, well, some of those investors will own warehouses, will own places. They can give you They might even say you can have the warehousing for free. We just have a percentage of the league. Okay, fine. There's ways that you can move these things so that the money is there, but it's not there. My point is, it comes down to, it's not an exorbitant amount of money. We're not saying you need to build 10 or 15 places. If I said to you now, I could just suddenly get a genie and go, there's 10, 15 arenas. Like genuinely, like I'm serious now. Say that happened.
Would one of those be in Portsmouth?
Yes, of course it would.
Would you call it the Dockyard? You gotta call it the Dockyard. You gotta call it the Dockyard, Mark. Or the Docks. That's the Dockyard, isn't it? The naval background. It's got to be naval background or Charles Dickens, isn't
We're
it?
the only island city in the UK. So it'd have to be something associated being that.
The Islanders.
No, that just sounds like we're inbred.
The Dockyard.
The Dockyard.
Going to the Dockyard.
Going down the docks, mate.
Going down the docks. We got Caledonia today. We're going down the docks.
Does that mean that if you're like up north, like one of the things would be called the dog trap? Going to the dog trap, mate. But let's just say that infrastructure bit could be done. Honestly, do you think there are 10 or 15 cities that you could put, say, I could put a team together and put a league together?
It's paying the players and stuff like that.
No, I get all that. I'm just saying.
I think if you had money, yeah, you could do whatever you want.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Just take it off.
If money wasn't in question,
the first thing you look at it and you say, would there be enough players to do this? Just as people in this country right now, you don't need to fly anyone else in. Could you do it? Yes, of course you could. Could you run a league above NBL Div 1? Right? This is where I'm going with it.
You'd have to join Basketball England.
Which they would they BBF. They're getting the license for it. So what I'm saying is this.
But then you might have one of those clubs get relegated that you just built an arena for.
What we are not talking about is the BBF, is the NBL. So the National Basketball League is the top. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
And can they get promoted to this?
Who knows? And that's the big question. That's what I.
That is a politician answer, Mark.
No, but
you sound like that guy on Hoop Fix from the BBF. He was doing a lot of politician answers. He's not really answering questions, was he?
He didn't. I literally didn't answer anything. It was you could tell Sam was pretty frustrated with him. Just
was he?
Yeah, it was just like the guy. Wow, that they did ask. We did say this was the process, and they didn't go. That is a politician hiding behind a process when they're not looking at what is the best for a not just a long-term view. Basketball's already gone through a big shit fest. Let's put it that way. When the whole
snowflake warning.
Well, 777 just ruined a lot of things, for that league. Because when we picked it up and it was like, look how exciting this is, look how good the media is, this is great. Like, this is something you can get behind. You had some really great players. And then when that blew up, you saw players going to Europe, you saw players going back to the States. And then you thought, what have you done? And it gave the UK basketball a bad name. Like, it's not even got a professional league. So then the SLB have tried to do something and say, oh, no, it is a professional league. We just renamed. It's just a rebrand, which these days you could probably get away with. But when someone says, the investors had no money, that's different to no one wants to invest in you. And at the moment, they're now saying, someone else has come in and bought the license. You're like, what? It's like buying a house and someone saying someone's bought your driveway. You're like, no, that's my driveway. You're like, oh no, that's a separate condition.
Not the driveway, you bought the land.
Yeah, you bought the land, but the driveway is actually under a lease for something else. And you're like, are you kidding me?
So whose side are you on? Are you on anyone's side?
I'm going to be very controversial here.
I'm going to be a politician with my answer.
I'm going to be very controversial.
Wow. Do we need a snowflake warning, Mark?
Snowflake warning.
Oh, hang on. I need to find where it is. Where is it? Snowflake warning for all our snowflakes. Please turn off. Mark is about to unleash. Therapy session. Go.
Activated.
Therapy session. Now.
I am going to back whichever side communicates with the basketball community.
Okay.
That is because the BBL were crap at communicating. The SLB, when they were setting this league up and doing all those things,
I would say
no.
they're Yeah, I know what you're saying. They're protective. They're protective of the product. That's what they're trying to.
Dog shit is another word.
They're trying to. Yes.
No, they are.
The grey clouds come over and then they just disappear. Yeah.
I'm not just talking from a point of view that we've reached out to them and tried talking with people, and some people in there are like, yeah, we'd love to do something, and it just hit walls. That's because they, like you say, they want to control the media, and we
have had some amazing people.
We've had some amazing people who've wanted us to do more conversations, and it's just unfortunate there's certain people who, for whatever reason, don't wish to speak with us. It's very strange, and you just think, we're trying to promote basketball, we're trying to big it up. We had an audience who wanted to hear about it, and you're not interested in that. And that's a big alarm bell. That's a really big alarm bell for me. And then when players were missing things or getting pulled up, or, oh, by the way, we happen to hire someone who apparently shot someone in the States. You know, all these sort of things. They'd suddenly go quiet and then send around this boring blank message that all clubs send the same thing.
But again, that's protecting the league.
I get that. But it's not.
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do.
I get it, but
it's protecting.
I get it, but the problem is that someone
product.
in PR, someone with a PR marketing background, who is saying, we just do a joint thing, and we say nothing, we move on, and then it gets forgotten. You go, that's fine, and you have to address things and then move on. I get that, but there comes a point where you go, these clubs are reliant on fans. I've talked about Dallas in another podcast.
God, yeah.
Right? But it's funny that the basketball clubs in the UK would even start thinking like a club, like an NBA club, where we go, well, we've got the money and we're the investment. It's like, without people in your seats, you're nothing. And when you show a video and your stadium isn't even a quarter full, that's a bad look. That's a really bad look. And that's all you've got to show something. And numbers go down. And then when you start hurting the core and people don't know what's going on, that's my concern. And there's no communication from it. So all I would say is, if the SLB now are on the back foot because they didn't put a tender forward, they're not being looked at. There's other people coming in who may well get the license. So the core people, they need to get together and get all of their fans behind them.
Yeah.
So what do they need to do? The one thing that they haven't done, and they haven't done it well at all, is communicate to their fans. And they need to say, hi, we're in shit street without a paddle. We need you to get behind us, come to every game and make it amazing, so that the new owners of this league, because that's what will happen, will then go, we need these teams and we will pay for those teams. If you don't turn up, what's going to happen with these teams?
Yeah. But when you talk about teams like, let's say, I'm going to pick on Leicester now. When you say Leicester Riders and the infrastructure that they have got, the fans aren't going anywhere. Those fans are not going anywhere. These new owners, whatever they call this new league, they're going to have to go get those clubs. And I'm going to answer like a politician.
Boo.
I don't think you can have the Premier League of basketball in the UK without those SLB clubs. You can try and you can create arenas and all that, and you can do all that, but what you don't have is legacy. What you don't have is history. What you don't have is something that's ready to go and run with right this second.
Okay. let's counterpoint that. London don't have a legacy. Don't have to worry about that.
What are you talking about?
No.
London Lions, London Towers. There's always a big club from London.
Yeah, always from London, but the actual Lions themselves, it's not the legacy. Because before that, you had MK and all sorts. They've been various faces. Yeah.
Mm.
You've now got London Cavaliers doing really well, for example, NBL and stuff like that. So there's always going to be a London team. It's the capital. It's always going to be.
You just bought London Lions.
Manchester of.
Changed recently.
You know, that's changed recently, but that's the National Performance Centre. It's always been that way. It's like, you know, see, are you going to have somewhere in Manchester? Yep. They need somewhere in Birmingham. That's always been a hot thing, isn't it? You've got places like Oxford and up and coming Essex, obviously. There's loads of places where you go, could they have a team above the ones that they're playing at? They could probably field it if they had the venue.
Can I ask a really stupid question?
Yep.
Can you play for GB no matter what league you're in? Or does it have to be the league that's certified by the BBF?
If you played in Saba but you're a British person, you could play for GB. Doesn't matter, does it? I'd imagine they might say you have to be in a national league, but that's about it. So you could be like Div 3 or Div 4. Because
I wonder if there's any rules on that. Like, could you go, bam, right, I'm in the GB squad?
Why not? If you're that good a player, some people would be like, well, why can't you? For example, why aren't you playing in Div 1? Well, there's no Div 1 team near me. And
no, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but
would you have to? Would the league that you play under determine if you're eligible?
No.
I wonder if there is.
I wouldn't have thought so. What I'd imagine is if you played in the lower leagues, you're less likely to play up against or around people who are scouts or who work. You know, if you're playing Div 4, Mark Stuttle's not going to see you. Is he?
Stootle.
Mark Stootle is not going to see you if you're in Div 4.
Mark Stootle sees everything, Mark.
Right, but you understand what I'm saying. Whereas if you're playing, you know, there might be someone who said, oh, I just randomly went along because there was a game on. Oh, I just saw this guy. He's absolutely amazing. Like, well, can we get hold of him? But in the UK, because the money isn't there in the same way that something like the NBA is, they're not paying loads to get someone who's going to go move from a Division 4 to a Division 1. They're not paying loads of money for that, are they? So it's like people aren't going to do that. Whereas play for your country is a different story. You're not traveling anywhere, are you?
I think what we've just done is we're going down this road, and the road just done that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The road is split, and I think over the next coming months, we're going to see if that road comes back together.
Apparently, it's the end of this month. Apparently, they do something. My concern is this. There's a lot of people who are talking about this is what they want. This is what Chris Grant in particular, what his vision is on the BBF for basketball in England going forward, you know, the UK going forward. That is what his vision is.
If there's Portland something involved, is this going to be like NBA UK? Like the NBA UK League?
So weirdly, the whole NBA in Europe thing's been flagging up for a while recently.
If you suddenly said this is the NBA UK League,
here's the problem with the NBA.
Yeah,
right?
You've then got people going, "Oh,
NBA wouldn't be in need to worry about FIBA. If it's part of the NBA, it doesn't need to have the FIBA recognised stuff or anything, does it?
And yeah, if we want to get into Europe, we do. But
yeah." So it's a funny one, and it's, you know, what market would they do? They would do something in Europe. They would have to. NBA is going to, you know, you've got NBA Africa, NBA Europe, but if they were going to go somewhere, they've said it might be teams like Germany and stuff, but who knows? All I'd say is, I think everyone, it doesn't matter who it is, needs to be very conscious that what they're doing at the moment is quite damaging for like UK basketball. And the more time they take with all this sort of, not just uncertainty, but all this kind of back and forth and nonsense, they're not telling fans or, you know, what they can look forward to. I think that's the,
I think you hit nail on the head there. Communication is the key.
Yeah, they have to.
For all parties. And whoever
and this isn't on the SLB. Yeah, this is not on the SLB now.
Whoever's going to, I guess, win this is going to have to communicate. I'd like to think at a certain point they all come together and go, okay, cool, this is all we want is the best for British basketball.
Yes. So here's my for and against with both of them quickly.
Oh, God.
No, this is it. If people are coming in and they've got a load of money, seriously, if they're coming in with a load of money and infrastructure and plans, they might have good plans that involve all the clubs. And it's like, look, these guys, they ran EuroLeague. They know what they're doing. And they see they see what the UK can provide. It might be amazing. Yeah.
Maybe if they work together.
And
might be even better.
But the flip side of that is it's someone external coming in and you go, well, we've done that before and that didn't pan out well.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
That's a great point. Is this another 777?
Yeah, like that's you coming in saying, hey, do it this way. It's like, that's not the UK market. This is how the UK market works. Here's the problem with the current SLB. They've done a great job and they've put things in place and stuff like that. But do you know what? Maybe they haven't thought about this long term, what they're all trying to do. And it's fairness to the clubs. Why would you not do that? They're just trying to weather the storm this year. Because they were trying to survive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they maybe got a bit complacent and thought, well, we'll get the license. And then someone else has come and gone, oh, yeah, we'll get the license instead. And you've gone, oh. Like, they weren't expecting another party to come and be interested and buy the UK license. So they were quite complacent, like, well, we'll get the license. We'll do this. We'll carry on what we're doing, and it maybe expand it over 4 or 5 years. We'll get 3 or 4 more teams in, and, we'll plod along. But that's not really aggressive enough, especially for how well UK basketball's done for GB in the 3-on-3 tournaments, for example, for Olympics. They've got some really good funding for that, and maybe there's a push for that. So not to play devil's advocate with Chris Grant, but in the same way that I think it's very irresponsible, and the way he's communicated things is like he has no media experience at all, clearly, because he must have been dropped or something on his head to have made these such open statements and done this so publicly, because it's really damaged
his own potential. Yeah,
not only his, trying to do. UK basketball. You have damaged UK basketball, and it's him solely who's obviously made that consideration. However, he sees what the tenders are, so he may well know these guys are going to bring something amazing in and do something incredible. Why would we not listen to that? But like all things like this, it's all behind closed doors. We don't know. We're just the people who sit at the end of it, and it's like, that's what you got to eat it or don't.
That's the
shame.
We're the mortals.
I'm not.
In a world of gods, waiting to see what happens.
I'm an illusion.
Wow. I think, like the key thing is time is going to display what happens. But I think we're pretty clear. We hope whatever it is, it's British basketball that is stronger because of it.
I want it to support. I want it to not support. That's the wrong word. I want it to highlight all of British basketball, enhance all of British basketball. The Premier League in football highlights all of British football.
I've got a great question for you.
Yep.
You are now a multi-millionaire.
Thank you.
Would you invest in, let's just pick Portsmouth. Let's say you're going to build, would you build something basketball related in Portsmouth? And what would you invest in the SLB, or would you go into the new one? What would you do? It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you kind of wait and see what happens.
I would build something. And I would build something on the basis that I know, like everything that Itchen did, you build a great academy. If you build great routes, Portsmouth Force are doing that now. And you're filling all those slots with all the kids coming through, and then you get to those premier teams as they're feeding through. If I had that amount of money right now, I'd build somewhere.
I think I think Milton Keynes is probably one of the best blueprints in the country for what you're saying.
And those sort of things, I would build it here. And one of the reasons I built it here, obviously it's our city, we love it. But there is a real history here of basketball, and there's a more than, when we were talking with the coaches last year who said it's been that successful that we've got that many people turning up to tryouts that we've got,
it's like 90 people turning up to try out for 12 spots. It's like, oh wow.
Like this is
it's insane.
You were thinking it was going to be like the Happy Gilmore scenario where it's like 3 people at the end, like, sorry fellas, you didn't get in. Now it's like the majority of you are not getting in. That's how big the appetite is.
Yeah.
So I would 100% do it because I know it would work. I know you.
Well, they've got to the point, I think, where, like, for example, under 16s, they've put 2 teams in now just to try and give half those people turning up a chance to play.
The SLB have their own academies, and within their regions and their local places, their geographies, they're brilliant for feeders and doing things. We've seen it with places like Leicester and Sheffield and Newcastle. So I would want to see that all around the country. And why could it not be done in Portsmouth? Why could it not be done in some other places?
So what would you do as far as the SLB and the new BBF? Would you sit on the fence?
I'd build the arc and I'd see what would happen.
Yeah, so you'd wait and see what happens.
Yeah, because I don't think, to your point, I don't think you can have one without the other. I don't think that if even a new league comes in, because there's no stadiums in the UK, and whether they've not done due diligence or not, I don't know. But you go, there is nowhere to play decent basketball in the UK
unless you got the money and pay and build it.
You have to build those stadiums. Otherwise,
arenas, like not even arenas. You're talking like the people being around know the courts I'm talking about now. But like the Nottingham Wildcat arena, that's kind of got 2 courts, but they can put the bleachers down the middle. But you've also got 2 courts. Then there's like a back door at the back. Then they got 3 courts next to each other. It is not a massive space.
Yep.
But it feels massive inside. And I don't know what their attendance would be, but I reckon it would be around 500, maybe. Yep. But those are the kind of places that I'd be thinking something like that, but maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But then the problem is, what happens if you made it and it really takes off? You're thinking, I've got to knock this down.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why you do things around the warehousing. Remember when we did things way back when we were going through who were in the BBL, and we were looking at all of their different venues, and you can see some of them that were almost like aircraft hangar style.
I think those are the ones that look the coolest, I reckon. And
the advantage with those sort of things is because of the nature of that. If it's just a big area that you build something internal, it only needs to be there for the season. So I know it sounds really silly, but you need it there from like your September time through to your May time, then you're done. So if you can do something like that, if you could find a few places, even for a year, and say, we'll put these on as temporary ones while we're finding homes for wherever, then you do it, you find it for a year, you see if it works. If not, right, you lose money, but because you do TV rights and that sort of thing, you don't lose as much. But you've only rented it, you haven't built it.
You should go and offer your services.
What do you mean?
You're talking like it's really easy. Go and offer them your services, I'll sort it out for you.
Well, I think it could be easier than maybe people think it. It sounds really insurmountable, but I think it could be easier because there is a huge basketball community. You know, we started this off with, the sad news about the players from Essex, and there's a giant community in the UK who've, sent their thoughts and appreciation, because we don't want to lose players, and they're people who love the sport and love the sport.
Our entire country kind of
we're all involved
turned around and went, whoa, that's
exactly.
That's a lot.
And it's a tragic accident, but it should also give people heart knowing that there is a community there, because we all have good days and bad days, and knowing that there's a community that you can go and you can play a sport and you can be part of something. One of the things that you've seen when you've gone to some of these practices, so like when you see Nottingham and stuff, that there'll be a community behind. It's not just with Nottingham Wildcats, but there'll be a whole community underneath that. And you see it with the Force as well. It affects so many other people.
Yeah.
and that can only be a positive thing.
And basketball is kind of a sport which is
it's community driven.
Yeah, it's a lot of parents say this to me. It's a lot warmer than football, where you get on the side, break his bloody legs. Like basketball is a bit like everyone's kind of looking out for each other.
It's more family vibe.
Can I just say to all our international listeners, why we always keep harping on about Portsmouth? Let me just put it this way. Portsmouth were the champions of the United Kingdom in the BBL in 1988. They went and then did the double in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
The team then got
disbanded
and folded.
Yeah.
So imagine this is the equivalent of let's say the Los Angeles Lakers winning it 2 years in a row, and then them saying Los Angeles Lakers don't exist anymore. Done.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a big market in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, let's see what happens in Marty.
Where do you want it to go?
I want it to explode.
No, what would you want it to look like then? Because at the moment, these other people have got license, not the SLB.
Again, like I said, I don't think you can have a league without the current teams. All right. If I'm being a little specific, yes, there's probably some teams that could be remarketed. It's probably how I'd phrase that. Yeah. But there are others which you absolutely cannot touch them, and without them, you are not the superior Premier League in the UK. Fact. You need those teams, or you're not the Premier League in the UK. If these guys, whoever it is, can come in and create stability, infrastructure, communication, and bring those teams on board, you never know. It might be that little foundation, that little seed that grows into these things where we are at. Maybe what we hope for is a little smaller. Maybe 5,000 seat arenas would be unsurmountable in our minds at the moment. Like, wow, that'd be great. You know, that's kind of like Australian basketball a little bit. Sometimes you get 10,000, sometimes you get 6,000, but that's kind of the model you'd want is the Australian model, I guess.
Yeah.
And at the moment, probably the biggest one is what's London Lions? What's their capacity?
6.
That's probably the biggest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Newcastle 4, is it?
Yeah, I think they can get up to
all around there.
Stuff.
Like if we could get 20 like that, if we could get 20,
yeah,
even if we could get 20 and they're the biggest and the others are like 1,000, that would be amazing.
Yep.
I think whatever's best for the British game, involving everyone, that's what you need to do.
All right. If you're saying that, you have to finish it off. How do people watch it? How would you like to see people watch it?
British basketball.
Yeah. Obviously, going to see the places, it goes without saying, go to a basketball event. If you haven't been before, they're awesome. But if you want them to watch it,
I think the Zone was a great call by the Super League Basketball organisation. That was a great call because a lot of people I know watch EuroLeague and they watch it on there. They're subscribed to it, and that's where they watch all their basketball. I think in the UK, we're a little bit unique in the sense that whatever is on the news kind of brainwashes us a little bit.
Yep.
I think you need it on Sky Sports. You need it on Sky Sports News. That's what I'd say. Sky Sports, yeah.
Sky, really?
Yeah, I think that's what you need it to be talked about on Sky Sports News. Look, Mark, I sat watching Sky News once, and they talked about darts for 45 minutes. And look, I'm going to be brutal. Some fat bastards stepping up to a line.
Snowflake warning.
And throw in a metal thing at a wall. And that, are you telling me, is more exciting than a basketball match? No way. No way.
Yep.
No way.
I think it's down.
It's only bloody popular because people go and get absolutely smashed. And
do you know what I think? This is my theory on the.
I apologise for calling all dart players large.
Although
snowflake warning.
Although they are.
post Snowflake.
Do you know
Warrior.
what I think? It's going to sound really silly. Wouldn't it be nice if someone who was head or in charge of the programming at these places experienced what basketball in the 90s was like when they were showing it on British telly on Channel 4 and stuff like that?
Well, I think you can go to some clubs now and see it.
No,
Leicester Riders, they had a bloody slam dunk crew going out there at the halftime show.
I know, but then what I'm saying is, if they remember what it was like, people who are doing the programming on these places like Sky and BBC, etc., if they were there and even experienced that, they would understand. Like, if you want to capture the youth, because that's what they want to do, they want to capture the 1830. That's who they want to grab.
That's kind of holidays.
And media's a land grab now, isn't it? Media is a land grab. Like you're fighting against YouTube, you're fighting against all those things. If you want to capture their attention, like that sent people who had no idea about basketball in the 90s. There are people at our school who were like, oh yeah, I was watching the basketball. And you're like, you don't even play basketball, you play hockey. Like, but they watched it because it was exciting to watch. Like, that's all. They have to try and bring that back. It's not difficult. It's an exciting game. Not cricket.
Well, you said it's going to be in a month.
Yeah, I think
Month or two.
that's when they said it was the end of this month. I believe they were doing something, and then something else happens. But again, there's no transparency. We don't know what the tenders are.
If these new guys come in, they got to come in and go, bam, this is what we're proposing, and it's going to be.
Oh, it
whoa.
needs to be. It needs. And
before I did that, I'd go to the other clubs and say, guys, I want you on board.
So that's how the EuroLeague works. The EuroLeague usually works where you have like 12 teams. I think that's static. They're always in there, and they're like the ones that are the core of it. And then you have invitational teams that they get invited to come and play.
Oh,
yeah. So
that would be a good idea for the league.
Yeah, we go. So what I think they could do is, the only reason I think this other bit,
that would actually be quite hard. Imagine them someone playing well, they wouldn't be able to play in the National League that year. They couldn't do both because you got guys playing for university, National League, D1, and then playing in whatever the Premier. That would be too hard. They'd have to stop playing D1.
Yep. But here's the thing. This new league has the potential that it might be a connector from the NBL, if 3, 2, 1. And then you've got a way to go up, which the SLB does not provide at the moment.
I don't reckon it will. If you got money, you're going to go, I want to keep my money. I don't want to get relegated.
Of course you don't want to get relegated, but but here's the thing. At the moment, the main reason people don't want to get relegated is the owners of the teams don't want to lose the infrastructure and the money that's in the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the UK, there's only 4 teams that have infrastructure, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
There literally is only 4. Everyone else plays in a sports hall when it's rented.
You're out of order.
It's true.
You're out of order, Mark.
London Lions don't own their venue. They don't own anything.
You're out of order.
Our London capital team, they don't have a venue because it's rented.
Look, I think we've done this now, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
So all eyes over the next. I'm not even going to say a month because we know what happens.
And they might have a new league, and if we do have a new league, they might rename it.
Or we might have 2 leagues.
They might call it the British League of Basketball.
They should call it
the BLB.
Call it the NBL, National Basketball League. Keep it simple. NBL Premier or NBA UK.
That's what I'm saying.
NBA UK. I wonder if they'd get away with NBA UK. I bet NBA have copyrighted that already or something.
I'd have thought so.
NBL Premier.
NBL Premiership.
Or NBL. Just get the NBL. You got NBL D1, 1, 2, 3.
Because of Australia. It's too conflicting, is it? Because Australia is the NBL, isn't it? So it would have to be NBL Premiership. And I think that would be better because it aligns with football. And like you said, people are so geographically based. I think that's the best way to tap into a fan base. And if you get a fan base, you get money because people will come along or people will watch or people buy merch. And if they got new teams or they got a new league or whatever it is, you might get new logos, you might get new stuff. It could be really exciting. Who knows?
See what happens. I'm not going to say a month. Over the next 3 months, we'll find out when it gets communicated out.
It's Britain. We like queuing. So ends another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Go out and check out all of our other stuff.
Please, no!
Michael Scott would have you say otherwise, but I don't believe him. Thanks for listening. I've been Mark.
I have been Paul. Let's see what happens to British basketball.
Maybe they'll join with the badminton team.